Excellent, guys. Well, welcome. It's Andrew Mashman here, and tonight we're talking digital marketing again in week number 2 of our 4/5 week online digital marketing course, which we had some fantastic feedback from last week. Thank you very much, everybody who got involved last week and had a look at the material, looked at some of the resources, replayed the recordings, and generally kind of joined the conversation, which is starting to happen more about digital marketing. Again, I've been following some of the forum commentaries, and people have been loading their media diaries up, and I think the one thing that's just crazy about the media diary situation is that, you know, from the first breath you take in the morning with your eyes open, you're exposed to a whole range of media devices, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we roll through the course tonight as well. Particularly tonight, we've got the igetdigital hashtag running. As I mentioned in the preamble there, we've had a little bit of a play with it this afternoon. There's a few people, Elisha, who's speaking tonight, also James, who's our guest speaker for next week, and Rich, who's our guest speaker in the final week. We've all been having a little tweets and a few Facebook posts around the igetdigital hashtag, and we've already got a bit of traction within Twitter and Facebook, and certainly on Google searches around that particular tool. So it's a really great example about how digital marketing can come together for you, and Alicia's going to talk to more of those things as we go through. So throughout this show, given that you're clever, multitasking, most likely multi-screening people, you'll be able to chuck that igetdigital in amongst the things you've got, in particular or in any posts that you make in Facebook or Twitter preferably. And if you run across, or you've seen, or you've got any particular, for example, pieces of viral video or other viral content, which is user-friendly in terms of our audience tonight, please feel free to post that with the igetdigital hashtag on that as well. Excellent. It's going to be great fun. Look forward to that. So a couple of things just to bring us back from where we were last week. The course is brought to you by IT Masters and Charles Sturt University, and it's a free standalone course, this particular one, but it's an entry into a subject which we're running later this year called MKT 525, which is our digital marketing subject. And this is a master's level subject, and I'd really like, if you've been thinking about any further study, you should go to Google again, because we love Google, and Google graduate certificate or grad cert or masters, but particularly a grad cert, because a grad cert is a really great way to get a toe in the water to find out what a master's style course is going to be like. And you can do a grad cert and then totally translate that into the first 4 subjects of a master's degree with Charles Sturt University. So please keep that in mind. There's an email address down the bottom there, business_courses is there, and that'll put you in touch with course experts around the space of the grad certs and the master's courses that CSU's got on the roll. So we're up to tonight. We've got our 4 weeks. We've got different things going on there. Tonight is particularly about digital strategy and how that contributes to the digital marketing plan, which is we're working through along the way as well. And typical topics tonight, we're going to talk about the organisation and its customers. We're going to talk about that digital and analog integration, and there's a great case study was launched this week around Subway, particularly for Australian residents. This will resound with you a bit, and we'll look at some material on that and how it's going for them as well. Alicia's going to specifically talk about the digital marketing plan, and then we're going to wrap up tonight with some kind of tips and pointers and I guess a 5-star checklist on, or a 5-point checklist on what makes viral work. So we'll have a bit of a critique on that on the way through. When we finish that tonight, we'll stop the recording of the session so that it doesn't get too messy for people, and then we'll open up to just more Q&A in the online space here, so you can chat questions into the chat box that you've got on your screens on the webinar device. And failing that, if you'd like to go into the Facebook space and the Twitter space, but you'll have to use the hashtag for us to see you in that space there as well. Now, looking forward to it, and that's going to work really well for us. Perfect. This is just for those guys who weren't here last week. This is a list of sources that have been used to kind of put this course on during the week. There's some really great pieces in there. We're going to talk about Mashable tonight, which is good. Jeff Booth, I just saw some stuff come up on Twitter that he'd done. Really smart things. There's a free conference on in Sydney on Friday from Marketo, which is about digital and automation. So lots of good resources out there. Check those out at your leisure, and make sure you've got a few feeding into your inbox every day or in your people you follow, etc., to make that happen. So this is us tonight, session 2, the organisation and its customers, and there's a real critical issue here about matching the organisation with like-minded customers, people who can work well together. If you've got customers who are not that fussed on your organisation, and if you've got an organisation that's not fussed on certain kinds of customers, you know, it's going to be nearly impossible to get those people speaking the same language and talking together. So why bother? Let's find people who like organisations and like the products and services and the way you communicate and the tools that you use, and get those matched together and then get the maximum out of them as well. We're going to move on to that analog integration shortly, and as much as growth hackers, etc., would talk about digital being the kind of way of the future, then there's still this ongoing need to talk about real people in real places, use those kind of offline tools to drive maybe your digital engagement and get the value that happens when you talk to people through their different media days doing different things as well. This slide here is our template digital marketing plan, and Elisha will be talking to this a little bit later. But for this week, homework we sort of asked you to have a think about. We talked about having a SWOT done, and particularly critical issues, and I'll talk about those in a second. Have a bit of a think about who your customers are, and you should be able to reflect on that a little bit from your media diary, and you go, wow, what's my customer's media diary like? What's going on in their busy day, and how is that working out for them as well? So these are all things that are really critical to getting the backbone to the marketing plan together, so that you can drive out an awesome strategy, use awesome tools, and get customers doing the things that you would like them to do. Clicking, buying, visiting, endorsing, all of those kind of goals that might happen with it as well. That was a tool we used to do our SWOT analysis. Particularly strengths and weaknesses are things that a firm can control itself and have total influence over. So if you have a great brand, that's a strength for you as well. If you have poor customer service, then it's likely to be a weakness for you. And it's a strength because you get to leverage that brand equity, for example, and it's a weakness because you suffer from having poor customer service, but you could fix that by retraining, rehiring, doing all those sort of things. Opportunities and threats usually come from the external environment, and you have no direct control over them. So opportunities, unmet market needs, new customer behaviours, new ways to do things, new technology maybe. For example, apps could be part of the opportunity for some businesses at the moment. On the other side, we've got threats, often competition, often government legislation, different things like that. And again, opportunities and threats are beyond the control of any one firm, so you can't control it directly, so you have to work with it. And then we're looking for the synergy between what have we got that we can match our strengths against our opportunities, and we can minimise our weaknesses or not show them to our competitors, and we can position ourselves so threats don't unravel our business model. No, we're not getting too much flicker there. I'm just watching another monitor and the screen's moving around a bit. I'll just keep an eye on if there's anything else I can do to fix that. The second part of this slide and coming out of the SWOT is often a SWOT will be pages of material, but what you're looking for here is the critical issues, and you can say to yourself or your team, okay, if we have to do one thing in this next planning period, be it 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, if we have to do one thing, or if we have to do 4 things in this period, what are the things we must do? And doing the critical issue things actually hones your focus, your needs, your must-get-done issues into, I would suggest, 2 to 3 points rather than 4, but definitely not 25, because at 25 you lose the interest of your stakeholders, and 25 you've got too many things on your plate to do successfully yourself, and things start to fall over. So this is the organisation and its customers, and organisations need to be selective about who they want to do business with. And probably every week I run into people who go, just get any, let's just chuck it out there and see who comes along. But just chucking stuff out there may not be the best thing for your brand. It may be massively expensive with an exceptionally low return rate. And in fact, if you chuck some products in front of some people, then they're going to be turned off by that product, service, communication, or whatever else it is. Yet a different segment might really love that. So people should really think about who do they want to do business with. And if you know you've got a people who are a group of people slow to pay your bills, and you don't want to do business with them, well, set it up so you don't do business with those particular people. If there's a group of people who maybe ride Harleys and wear black jackets who you don't want your brand name hanging off their arm, then work it out so that you don't distribute through channels that they would normally attend, so you don't communicate to those people as well. And so this whole kind of scoping operation about who we're going to deal with and who aren't we going to deal with is really important for working out which tools, which medium, what's our strategy going to involve, so you can really hone that effort in and those critical issues in on the people you want to deal with as well. Customers see the mass approaches, so mass media particularly, and this is where digital is so much more engaging for most people, is customers see mass media type approaches and mass tools as, oh, they don't really care about me, they're just chucking stuff out there. And that's, you know, fairly true about how it works as well. On the other side, tools are more and more widely available now for narrowcast opportunities to talk to particular segments at a particular daytime around a particular topic maybe, and you know, things from a very basic CRM system to more complex big data capability and analysis, and then targeted media, you can really hone in on your customer and make it feel like this product, service, brand, offer, whatever it is for them, and it's just for them, and they can feel good about it. They go, hey, I found about this offer, man, I'm going to share that with some of my best mates because this is for me, and if I like it, I'm sure they'll like it as well. And that's the way you get to people to push your message out for you rather than to force it into them in the ad breaks on their TV sets as well. So lots of stuff going on. So then we've got down the bottom, we need to get an insight into who your customers are and go after them, and then keep learning about each interaction. And that's again great in the digital space around CRM systems, is that we are looking to learn more about customers every time they are. And every business pretty much who's probably online tonight, they've got some customers, and there's probably some customers you really, really do well with. Let's get into their heads and find out why you do really well with those people and start looking for new people like them to grow your business. They'll certainly be far more cost effective to get into the system, and they should be, because they're likely to have some level of shared values and stuff, good in terms of retaining them in your system as well, which is all about the loyalty thing as well. So kicking off the kind of new things tonight, and this is your homework for tonight, is to be able to think about the customer thing and come up with some stuff. And this particular slide here is about market targets and objectives. So who's the target of this plan? And try to make it really, again, narrow focused. And sometimes, as I've mentioned here, and I'll show you when I read it in a second, is that we want to know who's not in our plan, who's not part of our plan, so that we can you know, not waste any resources on those people or alienate them with our brand, etc. So I've just written a really, really basic, I did, you know, 2 seconds to write it. It's not an awesome customer profile, but you get the gist of it. And what you should be trying to do is write something like this about a customer. Often it's kind of good around customer profiles to give them a name, and that way, you know, people in your team, your business might be able to relate to them. And certainly a number of businesses that I've worked with over time have customer typologies which have names, and they often live them out in the way things work around their businesses and the way they serve their customers. So Jane is our 30-something customer. She has a master's degree. She's an iPhone carrying individual. She's balancing a young child, a mortgage in a high cost cost of living city. So if you quickly put that up in Australia, it was probably Sydney and Melbourne. It might have been Perth a couple of years ago as well. She's connected, and that means she's connected across a variety of platforms. She's got a master's degree, and she's well paid. And within Australia, there's a very tight link between qualifications people have and, you know, how they're rewarded largely. But she's extremely time poor, and so part of that is that she's telling you, and through that observation, that there's a bunch of things she'll be interested in if they're about time saving your time, delegating, and a range of things like that. So in certainly in the electronic environment, there might be lots of things there. Online shopping is probably going to appeal to this lady. She has tension between work and family. So she works, loves her work, loves the family, and I guess the one that gets sacrificed on that is her at the end of the day. But she's aspirational in terms of that she'll have a more space in her life as well. So we're kind of, I just call it a rich description of who the customers are, and that's the powerful thing to get your head around, so we can start choosing a strategy firstly, and then tools that are going to communicate to Jane in her life about our particular product or service. In the scoping thing, this target market is not single. It has does not have no kids, is not empty nesters, and are not in regional areas. So immediately we can start to skin them back out of our marketing plan, back to a core group of people which are the Janes of the world, and we can start thinking about how to communicate to them, which language, what platforms, what tools, a range of other things going on in that space as well. Now down the bottom here we've got the digital goals, and particularly here we're looking for action-orientated goals, and I run into some difficulties here. I'm not explaining this to people because it makes perfect sense to me, but most people would go, oh, we want 25% market share of the Janes in Australia. Awesome, that's really great. And ultimately you're going to get a number like that. But really what you want here is you want Jane to do something for you. So you want Jane to receive an email from you, for example. So Jane, in this case here, needs to be on the preschool mailing list, and many preschools in metropolitan areas have email lists and communicate with their parents about that. There might be some rules about how it's used and what sort of things go out to it, but a sponsorship, a cool offer might crack the ice on that one and make it happen. So in this case here, I've kind of metrified this by saying, hey, we want 5,000 emails to go out across maybe metro city preschools to 5,000 Jane type parents in July. So we've got a time frame, we've got a number we want to get out of that. Second goal is that out of this email, we want Jane to register on our website before the end of August. And part of the incentive to do that is she's going to get a chance to win a holiday, and she's not going to win a bottle of wine, she's not going to win an extra day in the office, she's going to win a holiday for the family because we know she's got a family. And out of that we're looking for N equals 1,000, so that's 1,000 people to sign up and register for our holiday. Once we've got the sign up happen, we can move to a one-to-one communication phase. We might direct message her across Facebook or Twitter or via email, even more, a range of things like that, but we've got a one-to-one conversation. We can then complement that, and as you guys have identified in your media diaries, with the ambient stuff that's going on. So signs at the train station that she might use, you know, recycling bins with our brand name on them out the front of the preschool that she takes her daughter to, for example, things like that. Down at number 3 there, Jane will trial our app. In this case, it's an application of some sort, it's digital, etc., and recommend it to her closest Instagram friends. So we already know she's on Instagram. We want, out of the 1,000 people who registered to win the holiday, we want the bulk of those to trial it. Hopefully all of them will trial it because it's a free trial, she'll be able to do that, but we want 10 recommendations from Jane about our app. And you can see how we go in from 5,000 back to 1,000, then we're going to ask those people who already discovered and hopefully liked our brand to move back out to the audience and grow those things up. So down the bottom of the page there, you've got the SMART thing, which is the smart, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely goals and objectives. So things that you can actually measure. There's a big gap between what you'd often like to do and what you can measure. You've got to go with what you can measure. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about those things as well. So we moved on from customers and goals for particular customers, and by now this should be rolling around your head thinking about what can we do for our customers and what can they do for us. It's a great question to ask. What can you do for us? And they're going, well, we'll come in store, we'll go online, let's like something, let's share something like that. And this afternoon people have been sharing the igetdigital hashtag, and so that's been something which is, you know, obviously they're finding some value in what we're doing, and so their reciprocal thing is to share it back with us as well. So as we start to move into digital and analog integration, we've got this slide here, and this is from a group called Green Hat. This report's been loaded to the IET Masters resources section as well. I think it's in there for week 2 as well, and so it's good. It's geared heavily around B2B, but there's some stuff in here which the B2C people will be familiar with. And again, just looking at this, we can see the green bars on the right-hand side of the screen are about people spending more money on stuff. And e-nurture marketing is about generating leads. And Google is moving and has been trialing some stuff about cost per action. So instead of cost per click or cost per exposure, they're looking at cost per action too. So they might do a number of exposures for you, but when somebody fills in your application form or actually downloads your app, then that's when you pay for them. And so that's going to change the metrics about how that's going to work as well. Certainly automation systems are very much geared towards the e-nurture thing, and IBM has been promoting next action for quite a long time. Bigger spend on social media marketing, and we've been playing in Twitter and Facebook and stuff this afternoon. We're going to do more of it tonight. Email is still massively strong. We're going to talk about that next week, I think. Online content amplification syndication. This is more so about having sharing, endorsers. We probably talk about influencers, which we're going to talk about that later as well. I'm a little surprised it's higher than search engine optimization. But I think search engine optimization is getting more difficult because it's getting harder and harder to stay on top of the game with that without a massive spend of, a continually ongoing spend of money as well. Online communities, this could be around your blogs, it could be around forums like Whirlpool, a range of other things like that. So people are spending more into that space. They could be industry-based, they might be technology-based, there could be all sorts of things going on as well. Online display advertising is still sitting there, which is good, but growing, significantly again. And that online display money is coming away from traditional advertising mechanisms as well. Mobile app marketing, you see a big growth there. I've got another one later which talks about less significance of apps, which is kind of interesting. Maybe it's getting a bit crowded out there in that space as well. In the bottom split there, we've got public relations, in-person events. We can see a big spend going up on those, but you can see down the bottom of that print advertising starting to fall away. So integration is still important, and there's stuff going on in those spaces, and trade shows and conferences can be massively powerful for you. But if your customers are in the right stage of that kind of attention, desire, interest model, you can't really use trade shows and conferences for getting massive awareness because limited numbers of people go for them. But you can use them as a powerful converter. And so if you've driven traffic in from online and you can get them to come to your trade show or your conference, then your conversion rates might go up because of that as well. Excellent. Just waiting for that one to slide across. Some B2B tactic trends, and this highlights again those pretty much the same kind of things in the space there, where there's big pushes in social media marketing and the nurture marketing, email campaigns are big strong, and probably down the bottom, mobile app marketing. Not sure why that is getting so much less. Maybe the cost of apps is rising a little bit. Maybe it's harder to get cut through with apps. We know that most people's phones have, I can't remember the exact number, but they use about 10% of the apps that they might be holding on their phone at any time, let alone any one time. This continues a little bit from my theme last time as well, and traditional advertising or traditional marketing, a lot of that stuff could be kind of done or directed from in-house. Yeah, you might have had a PR agency and you might have had an ad agency if you're a bigger sort of company, but in the digital space, there's a lot more specialization across a lot more range of topics. So we can see there that, and this one here is what marketing activities are you planning to outsource in total or partially to agencies and service providers in 2015. And so creative design and graphics, that's massive. It's always been strong, that one. But SEO, that's something that people cannot cope with in-house anymore. Content development, I'm surprised at that because content is literally in the business. It's there, it's existing. But yes, maybe turning into video, maybe turning into live online, hosting, a range of things there could be part of that particular aspect as well. Market research, still a really important part of marketing, is to get information that you can use to move forward and develop some insights, etc. as well. Social media marketing is going out, and I'd suggest to anybody who's got a university or even a technical college nearby where you've got students studying advertising, PR and marketing, if you want somebody to help you with your social media plan, then go out and recruit one of those people. They're very talented, but you give them the organisational cues and how that should work out, and they're very comfortable in that environment, so it can do cool things for you as well. So a few more things there on what's going on with Analogue and digital stuff. This slide here is a bit hectic, and you might I think you can read the words on the other side of the screen there, which is good. So these are all the kind of this pool of communication tools that we use. And certainly from a marketing perspective, and I mentioned this last week, that marketers often think about the advertising and PR and then direct marketing and sales promotion and personal selling aspects of the business. Then off each of these, I've got maybe some examples, not an exclusive group at all, but an example of things that might happen in those spaces. The key things about this, about the paid, earned and owned thing, which reflects this, is advertising is definitely paid. Earned is usually PR-based different things as well. Owned definitely could be Salesforce or your call center. So we're looking for the right mix of tools that is going to link the communications to the behaviors of the customers. So which things would we like you to do, and what media, what timing, and what are we going to measure to make those things happen so we can run our business and we can know we're not just chucking money at stuff which is kind of fun and cute, but actually hitting the road in terms of the goals the business wants to get. So it's customers, all of those sort of things that might be happening. So as we move into the tools next week or so, we're going to have a little bit more of a chat about those things. But the tree indicates kind of that portfolio approach that any business might be using, and you can see why both the analog and the digital stuff is going to work well when it's integrated together. And to go on a purely digital front might leave some holes in your plan, and definitely these days to go on a purely kind of offline analog front, you're going to have massive holes in your plan as well. This graphic here highlights that the digital customer's journey is complex, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And for you guys who have done the media diaries, you know, fantastic work there, and have a look for all the different things which are influencing in your potential behaviours or choices around products and services. And certainly in a few examples there early on, people had gone, oh, well, there's an ad, there's an ad, there's an ad. They really picked out very clearly and easily the explicit advertising which was being thrust at them. But in some cases, they might have missed the subtleties of the kind of earned, the social media posts that they retweeted, the product placement issues, and certainly, you know, James Bond film, I can't remember what I was watching the other week, but, you know, there's products all through it. And those things also are part of the stuff that's hitting in your media day with the intent of making you make decisions about products and brands and those kind of things. So lots and lots of stuff going on there, which makes that journey important. And when somebody's talking about customer journey, you're literally drawing a line between the human and the trolley at the end of the day, or that place where your goals are achieved. For many organisations, that's way past the trolley, where you're communicating and building a relationship with this consumer across a range of medias to engage them with your product or brand or service in a way that helps you achieve your goals. And I can't kind of say that enough, that it's really important to be looking to achieve your goals along the way. Now, a great example which was launched just this week in Australia is a Subway campaign, which is all about eat well, go live life. And so I guess Subway is working here to, you know, personally I would say they've been on the edge of the healthier food spectrum for a while. This is all about, you know, active people, active young people, active young males sort of particularly, and getting them involved in Subway. I'm guessing that means getting them to come back to Subway more regularly, getting Subway into their maybe tradies lunchbox 4 days a week or something or other like that, about getting it Subway as a venue for groups of friends to call in when they're off on their way to the movies or an event or out doing whatever it might be going on as well. So it's a campaign which repositions Subway. It's got a heavily digital skew to it, and there's an article there which you can click on, and I tweeted about that a little earlier in the week on Mumbrella, which talks about what they've actually tried to achieve. And particularly, they've targeted what they're calling influencers, and that's a really great topic to build into many of our things tonight. Influencers are groups of people who can help you get things done, I suppose, but they're not an ad space. Yes, you might be paying them some money, but they don't go over the top endorsing you. This is the world's most famous Mike Foreman grill, for example. They're just going, hey, we had an interaction with Subway, and this is what it was like. And so the first example which I'm going to show you about part of this campaign is a group called How Ridiculous. And if you search them on YouTube, one place to find them, but How Ridiculous, you'll find that they have their own audience. These are 3 or 4 young guys, teens guys, you know, late teens, early 20s possibly. They've got an audience of 230,000 people on YouTube who like what they do. And so part of Subway using this particular digital channel is about getting How Ridiculous to do something crazy and then link it back to Subway and get their 230,000 audience to endorse the product or look at the product at least. There'll be certain goals around each of those things. How Ridiculous will want to grow their following by doing these things as well, and certainly I'm guessing that's what's going on there as well. Now this is just a snapshot from their page. So this is How Ridiculous from their YouTube page there. You can see the 230,600 or something followers, and the cool part about this, I suppose, is that I caught it. This article came out. I went out to look at it. It had 32 views. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to fall pretty flat. This one here, and I don't know. It's showing 32 views, but it's got a lot of likes and a few dislikes. But the answer is it's got 32 views right at this particular point, which was Monday morning or so. And I think I've got the time. Maybe it's gone hidden behind one of the slides there as well. We're just going to duck out to YouTube, and I'll just show you what's been going on there since Monday for that one. Sorry about that. Get that one there, and there we go. So trick shots. So here we are on Tuesday night, so less than 48 hours from when we had a look at How Ridiculous and the Subway campaign. This video has now got 35,206 views, and their subscriber base is ridden by maybe about 600 or 800 people or so. So it's launched the hashtag, which we'll talk about in a little second as well, and it's, you know, it's a good example of Subway getting some traction. 35,000 people in Australia, that's a good chunk of audience to get, and it's part of a component which also runs onto Facebook and other things. So let me just go back to my other screen there. There we go. And this is a slide following that, and this is the Subway YouTube channel, and we won't go to that one right at the second, but you can see, again, as this press release has gone out, obviously, they've got the How Ridiculous guys on shot, got the videos load, they've got their own page tuned up with graphics and logos about the Eat Well Go hashtag, chance to win, which is you know, a competition, which is always an incentive for people to go. While How Ridiculous have got 230,000 subscribers, the Subway channel's only got 292. So there's a big difference there, and this is why influencers are working well for these guys to get things done. Okay, I need to speed up my chatting because I need to get on to Elisha too. And next one was Subway on Facebook, and so again on Facebook they've already upped the graphics and logos to make that happen. They've got links to the videos that are going on as well. The hashtags are live in that space. Excellent. And if I did I did do a Google search right there and then on Monday for that too, and there was only 4 results for that particular hashtag. So you can see what's going on there. Let me just shift back to that one as well. Sorry, and there's a Google search up for that one. No, there's not. It will go, yes. So that's a Google search I did just before we started here. We now got 113 results on Google. So there's a range of things going on. How we did it, blah, 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 trick shots, the ridiculous, da-da-da-da-da. There's a few things going on there. So just in 2 days, Subway has done well with what is primarily digital, but we know there's offline stuff happening in that space as well. Excellent. This was the on Twitter, and there was very little on Twitter about this now, but it's also moved up, and I won't show you the scripts on that one also. So excellent. We're just about to switch over to Elisha, and I'll just introduce her quickly. This slide here is from the digital marketing plan deck as well. So based on your target market and organisational goals, so you're going to get those 2 things set up first, which are kind of influenced by the SWOT analysis and the critical issues. What is the project and what are we going to do about it? Digital strategy drives and integrates tactical and digital tool usage. So we're looking here for kind of a statement or an encapsulating kind of idea about how do we go about developing our digital strategy. And so Elisha's going to talk more about that with some of her examples. And so Elisha, welcome to the online show. I'm going to hand the mic to you, so go for your life. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
Sounds good, Elisha. I can hear you well.
Great, excellent. Well, I'm going to pretty much go through the slides fairly quickly, but you do have the deck after this session. Just a bit of background on me. I previously have worked for ticketek.com, dealsdirect.com.au, Australia Post, SABA and Hardy Brothers Jewellers, amongst others. So I've got a great background, I guess, in analogue and digital, as well as multiple industries. So tonight I'm going to give you some real-life, quite basic frameworks in terms of how to develop your digital marketing plan. So really top level, broad sort of blue sky approach, and giving you some case studies that you can really apply the theory to real life experience and hopefully apply that to your business or your company. So here's a little digital eggs here, just moving through to the next slide. I wanted to give you some takeaways today, 7 in fact, and probably more from Andrew. Just some really practical advice tonight from me in terms of how to get started and what I did, how to get the buy-in from your boss or just the buy-in from yourself if you're unsure about digital or unsure of what to do first. If you've got a tight budget or you've got a large budget but you want to be frugal, how to get creative about how you're spending that money and how to ensure that you really got an ROI figure there to make sure that it's performing. How to get smart and work smarter with your digital tools and getting the plan right for your what I call digital eggs, which I showed earlier, and how I've gone viral with different companies that I've consulted to or led as a Chief Marketing Officer. And then also just to, the things that we don't like to talk about, but we will tonight, about how to fail forward and move on and learn and actually look at that as an opportunity. So let's get into it. Thanks, Andrew. Next one. Okay, this is what I did many times over and over the past 15 years, and that is I just started my 90-day plan. So, for example, when I was at SABA, they weren't even doing digital. SABA is an Australian fashion label. They were just doing everything analogue, so, print advertising, TV, all those sorts of things. So when I came into the business, I just didn't overcomplicate it. People didn't really know about it, and we're talking sort of 4 or 5 years ago. I created my own wish list. So I thought, where do I want to be? Where are our customers at? I looked at the target market. I went and got the facts. So I looked at the data. I analysed it, and I looked at their brand and their target market, and it wasn't quite right. So things needed to change, and we needed to move forward. So I set some goals. And I didn't really have a budget, but I actually proposed a budget. So you've got a template there that Andrew's given you, so do use that and just tailor it to your needs. So it's really important, like Andrew said earlier, to really have a laser-sharp focus on your customer. Know what they're doing, who they're talking to, what media they are on. There's a lot of buy, swap and share websites for mothers that are buying and swapping conversations online on Facebook. So I'll talk a little bit about that later. Obviously keep ahead of the trends as well, which Andrew showed you what's happening in the digital space at the moment. I really advocate point number 7, integrate your analog and digital campaign. It has a better impact, and Andrew's given you some stats about the trends there too. Okay, so with your digital channels, especially if you're embarking on a new digital plan, it's really imperative that you monitor those. I actually get pretty obsessed about them because I want to see that I'm getting good value for my dollar or pound or US dollar, etc. And digital is actually nimble enough for you to adjust and reinvest in the things that are working for you and working for your target market. So point number 9, choose what you want to measure, which is really important, and how you're going to measure that. And most importantly, keep your stakeholders updated. And the last point, which I always reminded myself of, don't overthink it, just get it done. So when we look at the 90-day plan, I'll show you a case study with SABA. So the first 2 points are KPIs that link into the overall business plan. So you're going to make, the overall business plan. So you're going to make I guess the powers that be very happy if you are really plugging into that, especially point number 1. It's all about revenue. Increase web sales by 200%. They actually did not have a web presence at all, so that's actually quite a conservative percentage increase. Increase brand awareness and your online footprint. So they were very, obviously people were talking about them face-to-face and going into the stores and all that sort of thing, but they weren't really getting any scale, and that's why I was brought on board. Increase likes on Facebook. They didn't really have a Facebook page, and I set a target for myself to get organic search results based on the content that we were generating. 10,000 new customers, and you can see the other, I guess, KPIs that I set myself. Next slide. Okay, so the first thing I did very quickly was I identified from factual data the behaviours and what I considered a top buyer, a VIP, people that we had lost that were once VIPs, lapsed customers as well, the one-night stand customer, the customer that wanted the bargain. And that's somewhere that I didn't want to play in. I didn't want to play in that space because the SABA brand is a very premium brand. So I actually did not focus on that particular customer anymore. And then there was a big opportunity that we saw that, you know, some of our customers were actually already on Facebook and we weren't engaging with them. So that was a great sort of lead in when I was talking at board meetings, etc. So very good insights and good foundation to build a digital plan on. Next slide. Sorry guys, there's a bit of a delay. So how did I achieve that? Well, I launched the first SABA integrated marketing plan, and yes, it's been done before, but it was a real groundbreaking, I guess, plan for the business. So I pretty much mixed in what they were already doing. There was already a lot of content. There was already a lot of bloggers talking about SABA. So I basically immersed all those together and created a large competition around winning a SABA wardrobe, and also around partnerships with lastminute.com, who actually had a 500,000 database and Facebook page, and so they actually invited their customers along to win a SABA wardrobe, and they actually jumped on the bandwagon, shopped at SABA and redeemed their unique code for a chance to win online. So I guess the call to action there was to actually get offline SABA customers and lastminute.com customers to actually go to a landing page, a central point of a destination, and actually enter their unique code to reveal their prize. And everybody won something. Next slide. So look, I'm not going to go through all this, but essentially this is my way. This is almost like a mind map, I guess, in terms of what I wanted to do and what budget I was going to spend. So that's just a method that you can do it like. I'll show you a different method later. So it's basically showing all the analog and digital channels that I chose, and a central creative theme. Perfect Odds, get the look this racing season. So the actual name of the campaign was called Perfect Odds. And that was obviously put on Facebook. It was a landing page, website, retargeting. It was all the same look and feel. Next slide, thanks. Okay, so the results were wow. So I really settled in quite well, but you know, really it wasn't overcomplicated because I'd been working in that space for a while, and I actually just took a punt and I just took the owners along with me and got the buy-in from the teams, including IT, and basically it ended up with some fantastic results and really improved the awareness of SABA online, and therefore got more traffic in store where there would be store counters, and that was also a significant increase in traffic to the store. So you can see the results there. Okay, second takeaway is to get buy-in and rally the troops. So you could have a fantastic sort of digital plan and it looks, you know, really good, you know it's going to work, but unless you get the buy-in from your boss or from whoever you need to, and also from your colleagues, from the people that are actually playing a part in that customer journey, you really need to try and persuade them, influence them, show them examples, ask for their point of view. I know this is probably something that you're already doing, but I just need to write it down because quite often we get carried away with all these great ideas, but some people are just sort of sitting back and not getting asked. So just double check that they really dig it and they're really up for it. You know, what I did with Daniel Bracken from his ex-Burberry is that I actually helped him set up his social media accounts, and he would call on me and say, oh look, I've got this tweet, what do I do with this, and really just get them into using it themselves, just like we are with you guys tonight with the hashtag you know, igetdigital. So feel free to do that during my presentation too. Let me know how I'm going. Next slide. Okay, so I know there's a lot of small business people here tonight, so thanks for coming along. I'm also a small business, and look, I had to go through this myself. I thought, well, I don't really have much budget, but I do need to be online. I knew it was necessary. So I actually used Elance. It's actually I'll give you the new name of it. They've actually updated their the URL. I use that for you know, developing some graphic design for my website. I used CrowdSpring, I guess, for my logo, and 99 Designs. I use both of them. And look, I use GoDaddy for my website, and I created that myself. So you can do that, and I did that in 2 days or 3 days maybe. And it's all about content. So the writing part of it is actually the most challenging. So, you know, the small businesses out there are more than capable of doing it yourself. You just got to allow yourself, you know, maybe a week to really just nail it. And look, those people that have got the bigger budgets or a budget, really, you know, it's all about ROI, and I'm fairly frugal, you know, in terms of marketing dollars. So I always like to see a return on investment. So, you know, I always ask for trials from different software companies or performance-based agencies, rather than just paying a retainer, like for a PR company that's able to help you online. You know, margaretmcgee.com.au is a PR online portal where you can go out to all the journalists, offline and online. So that's another solution too. But we can talk about that later. I've just added an article there for you to read in terms of, you know, owning your own digital strategies. And look, I'll give you one example. When I was working at Ticketek, this was 2008, I think, or 2007. A colleague of mine who I respect greatly, he was a digital guru at that point, and he went into the CEO's, I guess, boardroom and said, look, do you mind if we go on Facebook? And he, I guess, to put it in a nutshell, he returned the response with stop wasting your time and get on with the real marketing side of things. So him and I, we went about building Facebook anyway, because really he wasn't really into it, and we knew that he would appreciate it, which he later did. Okay, case study number 2. Look, I'm going to flick through this really quickly. Dealsdirect.com.au is one of Australia's largest online department stores in Australia, obviously with the .com.au. So I ran a integrated marketing strategy in 2010. Next slide, please. And that involved, I guess, a number of different things. The lead-in with SEO was really important to get that right and make it happen, along with, I guess, paid search, online catalogues, TV. You can see it all down there on the left, and the dates of which I implemented that plan. And there was a number of people, including IT, who created Australia's first online wish list, where you could create a wish list from Deals Direct's website and actually share that with your friends via email. So your birthday wish list, you know, send it off to your friends, and then we could measure people buying those products as part of the, I guess, the success of that campaign. That was just one small part of it, and subsequently we were on in the media because it was an Australian first. Other things that we did during that period was an offline Guinness World Record, so the largest gathering of Christmas wish fairies in one public place, and that was aired live on, just flick through to the other one. It was aired live on Channel 9 with the Today Show, and so we ended up getting 80,000 visits to the website, which was just amazing, and that obviously translated into purchases and new customers. Just in terms of viral, this was back in, it says 2011, but it was actually 2009. My marketing team, actually, we all came up with Freaked Out Fred because we wanted to do something that, you know, was really fun, which was part of the brand personality, and something, you know, with our 300-odd thousand followers would actually come back and really engage with this particular character. And his name was Freaked Out Fred, and he was always freaking out about the freaking crazy prices. So actually, I got my friend to make him as a mascot, like real larger than life. I had IT be inside the character, and then we just filmed it on a really cheap camera, and it just went viral. For that time of, I guess back then in 2009, it was just hugely popular. He appeared on the Channel 9 Guinness World Record attempt, so he really did come to life, and people really asked for him a lot, and they had to guess where he was hiding in the warehouse. So so that was really exciting to do. and something that we did ourselves, and it costs pretty much zero, probably $100 to make him. Okay, the fourth takeaway is to get smart and work smarter. So assume that your customers are more digitally savvier than you. Never ever think that you know everything, because as soon as you might know everything, it changes. So one of the things I did many years ago was my clout score, and it's something, you know, I've got a link there. You can actually see your impact, your digital footprint, by getting a score out of 100. And you know, it'll be an interesting exercise for you. With marketing automation, I won't go into that because Andrew has gone into quite a bit of detail. The only thing I would say is that if you're automating your emails, for example, make sure that you A/B test, make sure you work out your messaging and make sure it's actually working for you. And also ask the question, who owns the data, how is it updated, how do unsubscribes get managed, all that sort of thing. At Deals Direct, when we did that many years ago, there was a couple of copies of the database, so we ended up spamming a lot of customers because that data was not the quality that it needed to be. And what fell out of that was that we actually got really bad reputation ratings, and we were blocked on a few occasions from some of the mail servers. So just beware, just really, really be involved in that process if you're going down that road. But it is really useful. IT, I would say that's really crucial. There's a lot of IT people out there, and that's why you're here. So get smart and work smarter. Just a few tips on what you can do in terms of surveying your customers. You can create, I guess, an Excel spreadsheet with customer feedback about your brand. And just remember, it's always a customer-directed experience online, and that you can't delete posts. So you've got to look at how you can turn that customer around. That's an opportunity, and certainly when we're at Ticketek and at Deals Direct, we used to delete posts because the heads used to freak out. But now, you know, obviously we all know that, I mean, that could be even worse for the brand. So make sure that you're genuine about your interactions, and make sure that you're really treating that customer like you would as part of your family. Okay. I guess just on the top right, the picture of the Westfield digital screen. So this is just another example of what's happening in the space. You know, when you walk past that screen, it actually does facial recognition and can serve you an ad. And it is actually taking information about the customers that are visiting their stores in terms of demographics, time, all that sort of thing. So it's really quite interesting to see that happening. Okay. Next slide. Okay, get the plan right for your digital eggs. So don't, like Andrew said, don't put everything in the one basket for analog, you know, or digital, but I'm saying don't put all your digital eggs in one, I guess, vertical. So Facebook, for example. And just on that, remember that, you know, if Facebook own the data, own the pictures, own your customers really, and if they shut down tomorrow, what would you do? Would you have a business still? You know, I work for Australian Sports Nutrition, and there's probably about 25 to 30 franchisees, front store, bricks and mortar stores, and most of them use Facebook to talk to their customers, which is great, but if that was to close down, or if Facebook change their privacy rules, etc., and you no longer own that data, then you'd be in a pretty bad state of affairs. So just, you know, my point is just to make sure you're using a multiple amount of channels, not all of them, just use a few key ones, trial and error, and make sure that you're getting the return that you want. And email is still very relevant today. It just needs to be done a little bit better. So dynamic content based on purchase behaviour, for example, is something that really worked for me at Deals Direct. Just ensure you integrate and align your digital strategies so that they are attempting to achieve the overall marketing objectives. Next one. Okay, so going viral. So publish credible articles, behind the scenes YouTube. So, you know, you don't have to have perfect looking brand videos. People actually prefer really down to earth, even, you know, grunty type videos, you know, just like Freaked Out Fred. They loved it because it was real. Hashtags like we're using igetdigital tonight, and please do use that on Facebook or Twitter tonight. That would be really great. And then you can see how viral can actually unfold. So then therefore you get great Google search results, great rankings, and you know, people are really talking about you. You could actually trend your business. I mentioned earlier buy, swap and share Facebook sites. So, you know, it's just really a bunch of mums getting together, and some dads that, you know, need to sell stuff or want to make announcements, all that sort of thing. It's really good if you have those types of products or service to actually jump on those sites and check them out. Partnerships. So yeah, I'll talk about this in the next slide, but with all the brands I've worked with, I've actually you know, formed partnerships with, you know, people that have got a strong following online themselves, and obviously who are aligned with the brand. So that's really important too, because they can be the vehicle that can hashtag your business and that can advocate the business based on a legitimate and point of view, and all their followers, like some of the people I'm going to show you in a minute, you know, it really does go viral. So that's a very basic way and cost-effective way to go viral. Just a note there on bloggers, there's a sensitivity around bloggers, and you know, look, the things that they like in my experience, just like when I was at SABA, is they want to be at the brand shoot, they want to do the behind the scenes video themselves, they want to get the new product in their hands before everybody else. They don't want the cash because, you know, they don't do cash for comment. So, you know, one thing you might want to consider is advertising on their page once you've got all the other stuff sorted out. Affiliates, so Deals Direct use affiliates heavily to major agencies in Australia. All I would say is just make sure you measure and make sure that you provide exclusive offers and campaign-based brand offers to support your marketing plans. So when you look at my, I guess, digital spider strategy, they would be on there, and it would be a very specific offer in line with the campaign. Okay. Again, charities is a really good way to endorse your brand, and you know, obviously if you feel that that's the way you want to go, because you'll find a lot of people that are aligned very well, potential customers to your brand, and they can advocate for your brand as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so you can look at these later, but on the left is Good 360. Well, whilst I was at Deals Direct, I decided that we would be, as part of our overall marketing strategy, giving our end-of-line products to Good 360, who can then disperse to all different charities throughout Australia. So it was a really exciting thing to do, and it did go viral, and we put it on Facebook, and we embedded it in emails and on the website, and it got a really good response. So yeah, that was one way I guess I did viral with a good charity angle. The other thing we did with the Starlight Foundation, as I mentioned before, is the Guinness World Record. So you can look at those both later. Next slide, sorry. Yep. So ambassadors, sponsors, partners. So Sally Fitzgibbon is a global surf chick. She's very heavily followed. She's got, I think it's about 670,000 followers. So whilst I was at Coco Joy consulting to that business, we got her on board, and you know, we opened a Coco Joy store in Australia. Coco Joy is a global brand under FOWL Healthy Food and Beverages, and she started hashtagging based on what we thought would be good, and we got a massive following increases to Facebook of 20,000 within 4 weeks. So that's a good example of how you can get people on board, you know, to raise the profile of your brand. Next one. Failing forward, this is a good one. There's no pictures in this, it's just text. But, you know, accept that you'll make mistakes, and your successes as a business are because of your failures. So keep clear-cut ownership on all digital channels. Who's accountable? So I've worked in, when I was at Deals Direct again, IT was doing SEO, SEM, and marketing was doing SEO, and they were almost like in competition. well, they were in competition. And so the communication from marketing to IT was not happening in terms of campaigns. So when I sort of came back to Deals Direct last year for an 8-month stint of consulting, I basically reconfigured the team and I made people accountable at an individual level, which then plugged into the marketing KPIs. Then, yeah, so it needs to be seamless and memorable experience for the customer. It's not about what KPI you get, but online you need to present yourself in a seamless way, and you see it time and time again that things actually have gaps. So, for example, what you have on your website is one thing, but when you go into the store it might be completely looking different, or you might get retargeted by an ad from that website that is nothing to do with what you just saw. So just make sure that you join the dots and be fastidious about that. Okay, so everyone probably knows this, but I always say this to my clients. Digital is the means to get the target customers, which is called traffic, to your website. So make sure it's quality traffic, so your target audience, or your drop rates will increase significantly. So your destination is your website, or website and or your bricks and mortar store. So make sure you're getting quality traffic, and then you can convert that traffic properly and make sure the message is very clear. So there's a lot of people with a lot of customers. Deals Direct's got 2.3 million. However, that's not quality. So once you drill down to active customers, then you've got your target there, and then you segment further based on purchase behaviour. Point number 4, metrics. Get everyone measuring the same. So it doesn't matter what you're measuring, make sure you're measuring the same way. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? But it happens and it's very common. So make sure that everyone's on the same page and have agreement around that, and make sure people understand how to measure. Okay, if you take on an agency, like I said before, don't always pay up front. Say, look, you know, we're definitely interested. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said this to different agencies, you know, okay, give me this KPI and I'll give you this. Don't pay a retainer. Do it performance-based. I even did that with my real estate agent when I sold my other house. So, but anyway, ensure your website and bricks are optimized with great interfaces. So, you know, make sure you deliver on your promise that you've made via digital. And once you do that, you'll convert your customers, a great percentage of them. Again, one consistent, clear message, so a central creative theme for a campaign. So your Christmas wish can come true at dealsdirect.com.au. As cheesy as it sounds, that was just replicated on pretty much most of the digital channels at the time, through media releases, on the website, through promotions. Freaked Out Fred was saying it. So it was really on the parcels as well, with a unique code to redeem so they could buy again. So that look of the elf and the look of, the tagline was really important through that campaign, and I believe that's why it was very successful. During that period, we actually earned over $40 million. So it was a very successful campaign. So one of the fails is a viral campaign that we did at Deals Direct, probably in 2006 maybe. It was an old-fashioned viral campaign where you could win a holiday, but you could enter as many times as you wanted, and you could actually enter the details of your friends' emails to enter to increase your chances. So what happened there was, you know, we got 40,000 people joining up within 4 weeks. And then probably about a week or two after we announced the winner, we had about 30,000 unsubscribing or spamming us, and that resulted in us obviously getting blocked from certain mail servers. So, you know, content is king. Make sure that you're really relevant, and just learn from it and have a fun time. Yep. Okay, so in summary, 7 takeaways. Just get started. Just do it. Okay, so keep it basic. Don't overcomplicate it. Do what you feel confident with, and ask for help. Ask me. I'm happy to look at any plan that is presented to me. I'll be able to sort of give you some guidance in that respect, and Andrew as well. get buy-in. So if you've got a great plan, if you don't have buy-in, it's not going to work. Get creative with your budget. Always ask for a good deal for yourself and for your team, and then the performance will outweigh the expense, and you'll probably get more money from the powers that be, or you'll earn more money through sales. Get smart and work smarter. So, you know, you don't have to pay for everything. You can use different research tools. You can ask your customers on Facebook what they think about a new brand takeover, or ask about a new product. Certainly at SABA, I asked our customers on Facebook what they thought about a suede handbag or just a plain leather handbag. And the votes were there, so we made a decision on how we were going to produce a product based on feedback from Facebook. Number 5, get the plan right for you, for your digital eggs, and definitely go viral. We've done that tonight through igetdigital. Don't forget to hashtag that. And, you know, again, fail forward. Expect to fail, and that's not a negative thing. That's actually really a positive thing. Next one. Yep.
Coming up.
Okay, so I think I'm everywhere, but look, that's something, you can use whatever you want. I'm just giving you a few options. Thanks very much for listening. I hope I've made some sort of difference or impact, and you can take away at least 1 or 2, possibly, I guess, insights from my presentation and case studies. Do go back over it and go through the links, and you'll see, I guess you'll get a better understanding. And don't forget, hashtag igetdigital. Thanks very much, guys.
Excellent, Elisha. Thank you so much for that. There's so many questions that you want to ask, and so little time, I guess, to do it in, because there's so many. How did that work, and when did that happen? And that was good. And for everybody listening, when Elisha was at Deals Direct, it was a massive upswing in that space in Australia. There was, I think, Groupon. There was 3 or 4 different names struggling for space. The sign-up rates were massive. People were loving the benefits of it, and then it sort of fell apart over a couple of years after that, as some of the deals maybe weren't as good as others. Like I suppose they didn't deliver on their promise maybe quite as well, and there'd been a bit of fall off in some of the organisations that exist in that space, but they're still playing, and it's one way that the businesses are getting out there and making customers and getting things done as well. So massively interesting. We're getting some great commentary on the Twitter feed there with the igetdigital hashtag. So I answered a couple of questions there while Elisha was talking, so that was good. Elisha and I will both be hanging around after this session. We can answer questions online here and on Twitter or on Facebook for you. So if you've got questions to feed in there, let's do that straight afterwards. I realise we're pushing up on time a bit, so I'm going to cruise through what viral marketing is all about, and we've had a couple of brushes with it tonight already, so we'll be able to move fairly quickly, and I'll show you some examples of stuff that's happened in the last week, maybe definitely a couple of days for some of them as well, so that we can sort of measure what's in there. And I've got you a bit of a diagnostic tool there to work out whether you can make some viral video or not. This slide in front of you now just talks about where to find things that are happening in the viral space. And there's definitely one thing: if you want to make things viral, you need to know what is viral and what's happening and what's going on. And when you combine that with your knowledge of your own customers, then it's likely you can create something that's interesting and engaging within that field. And tonight, obviously, we've managed to do it within the digital space, and we're working around that. And if that was our core business over, you know, the next couple of years or so, there'd be a lot of things we'd continue to work and massage in that space, and everyone who's interested in digital would be interested in the kind of things that we could bring to them as well. So check out some of those different tools there. So BuzzFeed, Twitter, what the trend that was, it wasn't what's the trend, and there are links to websites and those kind of things to see it. I definitely subscribe to a few sites. Certainly YouTube tells me weekly what's trending on YouTube. Twitter, I can see live what's trending on Twitter, etc. So these things are available. If you're using tools like Hootsuite to look at Twitter and social media feeds, and they'll also give you tools of analytics of what's trending. So I think one of the biggest opportunity about the trend thing is, or something that's going viral, is the ability to jump on the back of that and promote things, you know, for a good cause, to raise money for charity, to move your product, to advance knowledge, to do really good things for customers as well. So a couple of things there. Viral defined, I suppose, an image, video, piece of information. So it's not just about video. It certainly has been email historically as well, but with the uprise of video and bandwidth, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's on the internet because it's viral. Viral is digital, word of mouth, and word of mouth again and viral are not campaigns in their own right. You need to create something behind them that makes them shareable and makes it wanting me to share it, which would be word of mouth, or makes me want to pass it on, endorse it, like it, vote for it, etc., which in the digital space, which would be viral. People say, oh yeah, I've got a viral campaign. You really probably haven't, you might have a campaign that goes viral because of the content behind it. So think about what that backbone is that's going to make that an awesome opportunity to potentially go viral. Then you can have that, or an awesome opportunity for people to be talking about at the Mothers Club meeting after they've read the Mummy Bloggers blog space about a new product or service or whatever else might be going on as well. In viral, in terms of the internet and the web, you know, it could be across a single media. We have stuff that spikes in a particular forum, so there's things that spike, let's say it's within Q&A on Monday night between 9:30 and 11 o'clock, and then we have things that spike across a range of different media, and that's really important to think about where your customers are, which medias they're using, and where is the spike valuable to you. Because one of the examples we'll talk about tonight is where the spike has become, you know, it's been a massive thing, the dumb ways to die thing, but it's been less value probably for Metro Trains, which is the Melbourne-based transport provider, than it possibly could have been. Just found this one source which I liked, compared it with a couple others, but I like this particular one, the viral checklist by this guy Berger. Surprising, interesting, intense, positive, actionable, and all in a digital framework. And I guess my thing, and I don't mind Taylor Swift, but I'm not a hugely massive fan for her, but she has been really hitting all the right buttons. And when you look at a list of what she's doing in the social media space, and particularly on YouTube, a couple of the things are over 1 billion views. That's just a massive thing. That's a big proportion of the world's population have had some kind of touch point with Taylor Swift. Now, and I suppose the other thing about that is the benchmark for what's viral gets lifted massively, you know, time by time again. So there's other things going on in that space. Historically, a great example, probably one of the first viral campaigns that, you know, was really notable in Australia around the internet was Carlton United Brewery's what was called the Big Ad, and it was filmed in New Zealand. And what happened with it was that it was only given via email to 4,000 staff in the first cut, and which is seeding. And we talk about seeding a little bit more later. Seeding is where you put your viral or your potentially viral content into places where other people can take it. And doing the shout out thing, the word I use, shout out, where you shout out using our hashtag, that's kind of a seeding mechanism as well. And in some cases you can get that organically because people want to shout out about your product, brand, service, new ad, whatever it might be, or you can also pay for that. But then around paying for it, you might get a very different response. Your audiences might not appreciate the fact that you've actually paid to bring that up. And certainly if you're a large corporation and you're paying for people to shout out about your product and service, it might really undermine your credibility. The Carlton Big Ad hit 1 million views before it went to YouTube, before it went anywhere else, and then people were actually looking for it in Australia for sure at that particular point in time, and it was widely viewed after that point. Just got a couple of snips here about Taylor Baby, because she's up, and just last week there was a news release which is probably geared to be viral, and everybody involved in it, from Armini, which is Calvin Klein, to Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris, get to win out of that, and people who are interested in any of those 3 brand names are going to get to win out of it as well. So off the checklist, we've got celebrity, we've got big names, Swift, Harris and Armini. It's interesting, so it's got celebrity and it's interesting, I suppose, because people are interested in what, you know, those kind of people have and what are they up to there as well. It's actionable because you can share it easily. You can post, you can repost, you could retweet. Google was interested in it. There's a lot of related content, so you type in anything around Calvin Harris, Taylor Swift, or Calvin Klein, and bang, there's a lot of content there, which makes it eminently more talkable, shareable, and those kind of things as well. I guess surprising and intense came up under the strip down the underwear, so there's that kind of sexual content there with the celebrity angle as well. So that gives me the surprising and the intense angles to make those ones work as well. And then the other side of it's positive, which is kind of nice, and I've got an example which hasn't been positive and has disappeared from the radar, which we'll talk about in a second as well. So Cal and Tay-Tay are likeable kind of individuals, I suppose, like largely, unless you're Katy Perry maybe, but they're likeable celebrities, and the chance for them to make $10 million, certainly in the US market, which is really pro people being very successful, I think is a very positive angle for that as well. So lots and lots of stuff going on there as well. Just in the background, you can see some of the amounts of views of, say, Blank Space there, over 1 billion views on that one, and there's a couple of others in that space as well in terms of sheer numbers of viewing of her content as well. This is just a snap from the email I get from YouTube Trends, and we're just going to have a look at a couple of cases of things going on here. You'll notice that there's some kind of different content, and I'll just quickly go through the five things that are on there. Up the top, we just cut off, is the Robbie Madison riding a wave. So DC Shoes, we'll have a bit more of a look at that. 17 million views in around about a week or so. The next one is quite berserk. You know, it's a man versus balloon, but yet it's had 23 million views, again in a very short space. Bit of Foo Fighters action down the bottom there, you know, a bit of a global following for them. And expectedly, Mick Fanning's Narrow Escape with the Shark has had 21 million views. Though it's probably disappointing to say that, you know, a man who nearly died from a shark attack, which was caught live on TV, didn't do quite as well as a man in a balloon with a hose shoved down the balloon. And then down the bottom there, this one's a paid ad placement, The Extraordinary Lift. You know, that was very few views on the scale of it, but it must have jumped very quickly, so maybe people seeded that carefully, but then it fell away massively quickly, and when I looked at it a week after this, it had hardly moved any views at all. So just skipping on the next page here to talk about that. So the guys in the blue, the balloons, they're called influencers as well, and they're called the slow-mo guys, and they've got 6 million followers on YouTube. So that's a pretty massive group. And so even for Subway, if they could get the slow-mo guys to do something cool in slow-mo for them and hashtag it with the Eat Well thing, then they'd be excited about that as well. And then this one here, published on the 21st of July, and I pulled this off last week, I think, but 23 million, nearly 24 million views on that one as well. A little bit of controversy there, 6,000 people giving it the down thumbs there, so a bit of interesting things going on there. In terms of our list of what makes good viral, surprising, there's a guy in a balloon. I went, okay, wow, interesting. I'd never seen that before. Intense, the balloon will and does, and the slow-mo thing gives the explosion replay value, and I think that's probably the best part of this thing. It's positive, it's crazy, harmless fun, no animals hurt in the filming, etc., and it's definitely actionable. They would like you to follow their channel. They would like to get more endorsements from brands that endorse them as well, and they want you to tell friends about it also. So pretty good example in that one also. So the next one, which was pretty massive also, and again popped up on the 2nd of August, so I picked this one up last week also. So we're in about, you know, I think it was 18, maybe 19 days or so when I actually got that one. And you're welcome to check these online now to see what's going on. So DC Shoes, US-based shoe company. Their manager is a mad rally car driver, so he's got a whole channel in his own right as well around that stuff. You know, they've got a million followers, not that massive, but this bit of content has got them 17 million views. So surprising, it's a motorcycle on the water. It's interesting because it is a motorcycle on the water, and it's surprising because this guy Robbie Madison does stunts all over the place. It's intense because you go, man, he's got a crash. This has got to be a crash thing. There's going to be a crash in a minute. So that's making you stay and keep the play button pushed down as well. It's positive because, again, it's kind of good, clean, crazy fun, and nobody gets hurt. And then it's actionable, and for these guys, you get to follow their channel. You want to tell a friend. You want to like DC Shoes and Facebook probably. You're going to want to do a number of things. So that ability to share and give and talk at the pub, share it with your friends specifically, and certainly as a male and into motorcycles, I'm particularly motivated by this particular piece of content. I'm guessing there's lots of other people who are less motivated by this, but still, for DC Shoes, and for the cost of the production around this one, then they've done really well with that one, I guess, as well. Some stuff about viral considerations is the content. How relevant is it to your target market, and is it shareable? Would they share it? And so that's the big question, would they share it? And one of the examples I'll look at a bit later, which was going viral, is not really shareable. And how long is it? And the recommended limit there is things under 2 minutes share a lot better than things longer than that. But there is stuff which is getting kind of big feels. So the Coney 2012 campaign got around 100 million views at nearly 30 minutes, which is massive. So there is some stuff which will actually be stickier than others. The production quality thing is interesting, and the word here is low production values, so earthy feel and authentic. So shot from the mobile phone, no particular sound. You know, yes, having sound, but it's kind of, it might be crackly, or it's in the distance, or it's away. It's still got to be usable, but people want to know that there was an authentic experience going on with how this actually happened. And of the two examples we just looked at, the balloon guys, it's an awesome bit of low production value content Whereas the Madison one, it feels a bit too slick and it looks a bit too slick. It's been produced and wrapped and all of those kind of things. But given there's a brand behind it, DC Shoes, it's probably a little bit more palatable to their audience to look slick, look smart, look corporate, make it work better for them, but still amazing and ticking all the boxes on the viral checklist. Timing, what's going on in your target market, so that when do we launch this? When are we going to get traction around these things? When's it going to happen for us? Beginning day, end of the day, weekend, nighttime, morning time, all of those sort of things. You need to think about how those things work out as well. Which media? Where is your TM? You know, if they're on Instagram or Snapchat, there's no point doing something sticky on Facebook if they're not there at that particular point in time as well. What is their engagement and usage of this particular medium? And some people might be happy to comment. For example, you know, video on Twitter hasn't taken off that massively, but on Instagram, pictures and video are massively much more widely shared and used. So you're going to, again, gear it up for how that works for it as well. And then the last one there is if it bleeds beyond your target market, it might lose relevance or cause you not to achieve your goals. And I guess the worst case scenario there is that you cause brand damage because some content which was relevant to a particular tight target audience, so young males eating Subways or something, actually turns out to alienate older females or their mums or something rather like that. So we want to kind of try and work with that as much as you can as well. This is an example of one that's going kind of pear-shaped as we watch, but that's not the point of this particular slide. But Mashable, and this is about measuring Mashable looks at what's trending and what's not. And particularly in the center of the screen down the bottom there, we've got this trend bar. So Mashable velocity graph shows how quickly people are sharing this particular article on the social web. And the Ashley Madison thing has been going off for a little while, but just the other week, I believe confidential details of who was an Ashley Madison user was being published. Just this morning, the Canadian police spokesman said there's been apparently a couple of suicides attributed to it, so it's all really bad. But nevertheless, somebody else in this Technologica, for example, they've put together an interactive map of the globe which you could play with and mess with to create some more viral content for people who have, you know, some kind of interest, I suppose, in the Ashley Madison case, as it would put out as well. So this shares thing is important. So the ability to share massively helps achieve shares, and that's kind of fairly obvious. But often you'll go to a website these days, you go, wow, I'd like to tell someone about that, but there's no buttons, there's no way to do it, so you can't do it. Shares include likes, votes, polls, retweets, comments, and all of those things are mechanisms for measuring engagement in the content that you put out there and the brand that's behind those particular things. Dumb Ways to Die, this was a massive achievement for an Australian-based both agency and brand, and so Metro Trains is the brand. And I would say at the end of the day, they would have been massively excited, and people in that business would still be massively excited about Dumb Ways to Die, but from an organisational objective point of view, it's reached way beyond what they needed to do. And in fact, there's been a few reports around that it really didn't change people's behaviour around railway tracks, which is what the campaign set out to do. On the flip side, there's always some winners. The agency won a number of awards for this particular campaign, and it did go global. It's reached way beyond the Australian population with over 110 million views there, and you know, in a population of a city that's interested in Metro Trains, only 4.4 million. So a lot of stretch in that space. Interestingly enough, you know, catchy, interesting, a bit surprising, reasonably, because it's animated, and the way it's animated, kind of low production values as well. So they've really kind of nailed those things in that example also. A couple of things here. This was just 11:30 a.m. yesterday, so popular right now on YouTube. And again, if you're searching in Twitter right at this second, you can go hashtag popular on YouTube Australia and see what's going on there as well. And the first one there is Ask a Porn Star. You know, there's a bunch of different things that you would jump out at that. 4 days, 6 million views. I haven't had a look for it. It's disappeared off the radar. It wouldn't surprise me if YouTube has banned that particular piece of video. But from the female on the front cover to the topic and the headline, you can see why people would kind of open that up. But it has literally disappeared as of now, or as of tonight when I had a quick look for it. Rising though, we've got the Foo Fighters, and they did a Rickroll thing on Westboro Baptist Church on the way to a concert or something or other. So here we have an orchestrated, I guess, stunt, nearly like the flash mob kind of thing. It's the Foo Fighter dudes in the back of a ute on a street, close the street down, play a bit of Rick Astley, and away it went. So it was good like that. And so in 24 hours there are 2.8 million views. And we'll come back to that. I'll just duck out to the web in a second and show you where they're up to right now. But it's trending, and that's in Australia, and that's something that happened in the USA. The second one here is interesting. So Australia Post, it's got somebody's brand name in it. That could be interesting. Express Parcel Throw, and 134,000 views just in 2 days. So it'll be on there for 2 days. And in Australia, a postie on a motorbike has got 134,000 views, and we're going to have a look at that one in a second as well. So a couple of things going on in that space, and I'll just go to the next slide, then we'll go out to the internet and have a look at what those things were doing. This is what was popular on YouTube at the same time, or within minutes anyhow, of just on the US, so hashtag popular on YouTube US though. You can see here that the Foo Fighters are rolling. They're doing really well though. So Foo Fighters have got a good presence on that, up to 2.8 million here. You'll see the red circles and the tick boxes. These are verified providers. So these guys get a free shot at elevating their stuff, and I'm betting somewhere in the background money changes hands for that. And the NFL thing, I'm not as familiar with that, but that's about NFL stars doing different things. The Conan TV show, it's a bachelor party. It's silly, crazy, boys fun. Probably wouldn't float that well in Australia as much, but in the US they love that kind of thing. It's 6 minutes, it's long, and I did actually sit through watching it, but it's got limited extent, but it was trending right there and then, 2 days into it, and they're just under 1 million views as well. Interesting though, Taylor Swift though, back to her, has been doing some stuff at the Staples Center in LA, and there's a massive amount of viewing on YouTube associated with that. We'll go and have a look at that one in a second. Yet Kanye West has slipped off the radar at that one as well. The Taylor one, 70,000 views in just 16 hours, so pretty massive in that space also. Cool, we'll just duck out to YouTube and have a quick squiz at those. So let me go and get there. Taylor Swift at the Staples Center. So here's that one. We just that one's a different one there. But the Uzo chick, who I've got no idea who that was, has got some exposure out of that, which is big. But the Mary J. Blige one, and a couple examples of that, they're over 100,000 views in just a 24-hour period as well for those ones. So Taylor can do that. When you put Taylor Swift with Kobe Bryant, sports star, at the Staples Center, then we're 186,000 making that happen there. So lots of stuff going on there. It's probably driving traffic to behind the scenes one, which would be driving traffic into, which is my latest video one, and a bunch of things going on in that space as well. Let me just close that one down and we'll go to the next one. Here's the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, when I looked at it on Monday at 11:30, they were running at about 2.7 million, I think 2.8 million. So we're now up to 3 days and we're 6 million views. And you can watch that tonight if you like. It's around 2 minutes. Production value is low. It wasn't that riveting, I have to say. It didn't have interest or much. I suppose it was surprising that you could see Foo Fighters in the street. Not much action on Dave Grohl, but he was there. So they've got some good exposure off that. And if they're trying to sell tickets to concerts, then I'm guessing that's a good mechanism for them to try and do that and make those things happen. Let's just go across here to Australia Post now. And this is the Australian Post parcel throw. You'll notice that yesterday it had 134,000 views. Tonight, when I loaded this up, we're up to 228,000. And this is actually somebody's protest video because somebody threw a parcel at their door and they happen to have captured it on their closed-circuit TV, and they've turned it around. They've had a phone call to Australia Post. So it's actually a protest video, and so Australia Post should be nervous about the traction this particular video is getting, especially when that business is under pressure of not supplying really good services and those kind of things. So it's a good example of something on an Australian scale going viral and being published by, essentially a citizen journalist and brought to YouTube, made available, and getting a lot of traction in Australia right at the moment to the demise of Australia Post probably as well. Excellent. Let me just go back to, we had a look at that one too, the trick shots of the dish, which was at 35,000 now as well. Let's go back to my other screen. Excellent. I'll move on from that one just to wrap us up and bring us home. That's the Australian Post view there as well. You can see that view in the slide there. Also, I have to say thank you to Alpha Surfer and to Flaming Lemon by the look of it. You guys have been busy on OzBargain, and we touched on OzBargain when we were having our Q&A last week. So very interesting, and I personally had not been an OzBargain user. I think I'd seen an ad for it somewhere along the line. So on last Wednesday, we went and had a bit of a look at things on OzBargain to see what was going on, and we're talking to different people around about it. And you can see here that the cool thing about this kind of post particularly is it's been done by, you know, guys that have just got an opinion about, in this case, about digital or digital forensics. And the digital forensics one is probably the most interesting here because it's another free short course coming up via Charles Sturt and IT Masters. But they had nearly no enrolments in this last Monday, and I believe the number is up over 2,200, and it appears that it's mainly been driven by the OzBargain posting. So Flaming Lemon, awesome, great work on that front. Thank you very much for that. You can see there's been 131 positive endorsements of that, which is good, and you may not be able to see it, but there's 5,709 clicks through to the IT Masters website. So OzBargain as a tool to have somebody else post cool content, have it endorsed by, you know, a community which is discerning about, in this case, education, fantastic, and then push it out there is being able to generate IT Masters a considerable amount of traffic in this particular example, which is good. I'm not sure why it's happened, but either CSU is very quickly onto this, and certainly not from our point of view did we organise this or anything, but probably because, and it could have been because I was logged in and know that, but CSU managed to serve an ad on that page, which more than likely, it could do two things. It could make this offer that much more credible, or it could erode that a bit. Could people say, oh, this is a, you know, a sponsored post and you've got an ad there as well. But I'm guessing that at the end of the day, because I was a user, because I was on certain websites, it's probably served that ad because it was more about me as a potential target for CSU than anyone else. But nevertheless, if you can get a post, an organic post by a interested, you know, citizen, fantastic. Thank you for that, mate, and or lady if you're a girl, and then you can serve an ad onto that. You know, that's really clever stuff in terms of your digital marketing strategy as well. So good work on that for those guys. And I wanted to finish off tonight with the Men in Black example, and I tweeted about this one last week because it was just launched. You know, New Zealand, crazy rugby country, Air New Zealand, the master of what they call non-interruptive advertising, and we'll be talking about that next week a bit more. They've put together, and these guys put together safety videos using all sorts of things. There's a Hobbit safety video. They actually use it in the planes to get people to act and behave safely. And now they've done one Men in Black using the All Blacks football team, and it's gone from 2,400 when I looked at it last week to I think it's about 2,800 tonight or so, and they are generating traffic in a very positive kind of way, light social media conversation around this particular thing. Plus, it's actually got a really, you know, rational purpose where they are using it as a safety video in the flights at this particular point in time. So I'm just going to duck out, back out to what's Ella, and you can have a look at that one as well. Yeah, back safety video. And so it's on 2.8 million now. And again, Air New Zealand's a small airline. They're doing business out there. You know, it's been up for roughly about 2 weeks or so, just. And, you know, 1.4 million views a week has been pretty cool, and lots of conversations, lots of positive endorsements as you roll up and down the screen there as well. So that's been a really good example, which kind of happened live as we did that also. Excellent. Oh. There you go, so we're back on the right screen there as well. And just to wrap this up, so a little bit of homework for this week, if you're up for it. Finalise your target market for this plan. So who are you going to target on for this digital marketing plan you're going to do? Finalise some SMART goals for the target market action. So what do you want this target market to do for you? Come in store, go online, do this, recommend to a friend, all of those kind of really simple things. That's about it too. Fill out your digital big picture strategy and think scoping in terms of you know, your project management stuff. So what's in, what are we going to do, what can we do here, and what's out, and be guided by what your customers, you know, media choices are and what your resources are, because there's no point going in to do things that you can't resource for your own business. So keep it doable to make those ones happen. Check out some viral content and check it against my checklist, and certainly tweet about it in terms of the igetdigital hashtag if you want, and we'll look for it next week. And thank you very much for your attention tonight. And please enjoy the recording. where Elisha and I are online now on Twitter and Facebook to answer any questions you've got. Plus, we'll just do a few short questions now also right after I stop the video. So thanks very much.